Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Active Love Adoptions podcast. I'm Alyssa, and I'm here with my mom, Heidi. And today we are here with Ayden Lincoln, who is an adoptee who has been so kind enough to share her amazing adoption story with us. So thank you so much, Ayden, for coming on here today.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited to hear your
Yeah.
story.
I mean, like I said, I read some of it and it's amazing that you're even here, actually. So, with how your story starts.
You're absolutely correct. I never would have imagined I would be here considering how my story started.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and share? I don't think she knows it, but I mean, in China, right, where you were left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was born October 28th, 2002, and shortly after birth, I was abandoned. The police found me with my umbilical cord still attached in a shoebox at a train station in China. They
Wow.
then sent me to an orphanage where I spent the first year of my life before being adopted by an amazing and loving family in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy, right? I just the odds that you made it to that
That they even
point.
found you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so then how was your upbringing? And then we can go into you've written a book, right?
No, actually, I've not.
Okay.
I've written
Not
story. I've shared my story, but
stories.
I've never actually written a book.
Okay. Okay. So and but then you become a huge advocate for adoption.
Yes, because I wish that more people would talk about it. I didn't have somebody to look up to like myself, and I want to be that for other people.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
definitely need a lot of that.
yeah, that's kind of why we started this podcast initially is so that we could get all different types of stories out there so people don't feel like they're alone and that they can feel like they can have an open conversation about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not talked about nearly as enough.
Mm.
Excuse me, it's not talked about nearly as enough as it should be.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I agree with that. So, so then what got you into, how did you first get into being an advocate? I mean, how did you even start that?
Yeah, so it goes back to my junior year of high school, right before COVID. In February, I was having a really hard time in class, and it was bringing back all of these memories from my elementary school years and really struggling for people to understand me. And I was in science class, and I had a lab where it was these open burners, and I was in a group with a bunch of girls. And my teacher came up to me and said, I'm not leaving until you light this burner. And I didn't want to do it. And of course, somehow I got stuck with the lighter in my hand, the little tiny cigarette lighters. And I hate those because I'm always afraid I'm going to burn myself.
Yeah.
And he grabbed my hand and he said, I'm not leaving until you light this. And I said, this is giving me anxiety. Stop this. I'm not lighting this. And at this
Mhm.
point, the entire class is looking at me and they feel bad for me. I can just see the look of shock on my classmates' faces that he even did what he did.
Mhm.
And I ended up lighting it, but I ran out of the room crying because I was embarrassed. I was angry because he had told me, so what? Over half your generation suffers from anxiety. Get over it.
Mm.
Oh,
In front of the entire class.
yeah,
And
Wow.
that's just shocking to hear.
yeah.
So I ran out of the room crying and I was just angry. I was upset. It was bringing back memories from my early elementary school years where nobody was understanding me.
Mhm.
And so I wrote it all out and I sent it to him. And it opened his eyes a little bit. He apologized and he said, I'm so sorry. I had no idea what you had gone through. I didn't even know you had a 504." And
Yeah.
that at this point, this
Wow.
was in February. And
Yeah.
I'm almost 18 years old at this point, so I know that an almost adult and I know now how to kind of advocate for myself. And I sent that to him. And then it really kind of opened his eyes up. And then I sent it to other people. And I was like, hey, I think I have something. I always knew I wanted to probably share my story. But had that moment not happened,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have shared my story.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good. So that's how you got started. And now you're doing more on platforms like this. So what made you go from how did you expand it to the platforms that you're reaching now?
Yeah, so originally published my story as an op-ed for Live Action
Okay.
for National Adoption Month. And from there, it kind of got picked up to different media outlets.
Mhm.
And I do a combination of both my own kind of advocacy and during National Adoption Month, I've been able to find some amazing publicists who take me on pro bono because they are inspired by my story. And through that, I've kind of just taken off. I really focus a lot in November. I don't do them all the time. I don't do these
Mhm.
interviews every day or every week, but
Yeah.
really concentrating in November because that's National Adoption Month. And that's when I found that my story fits most for
Yeah.
most platforms.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, the stories that you write, can you tell us, I mean, like when you go and you talk or that you're, um, do you have one that you just run through, one that you share the most often?
Yeah, so obviously this is my story and I'm gonna know it best. So my
Yeah.
story hasn't changed. I
Mhm.
share the same thing. I share the same message of hope, of advocacy, that adoption is an amazing gift, but it's not often talked about. And if it is talked about, it's all sunshine and rainbows. But the
Yeah.
reality is, adoption is not all sunshine and rainbows. It comes with its struggles that aren't talked about enough. It comes with trauma, it comes with loss, and it comes with grieving, and everybody is kind of going to have their own unique story. And I want to share a message of hope, but also be realistic that it's not just all sunshine and rainbows, that it comes with trauma, it comes with loss, and it comes with struggles.
Yeah. Well, which is good because that's true. I mean, there's not one perfect fit for everyone, right? And everybody's story is different in adoption and not in adoption. So we all have different stories. And that is beneficial for you to, tell people about the what some of the not so rosy stuff, but you still are glad you were adopted, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I believe that adoption saved my life. I can't stress that enough that I wouldn't be where I am today had I not been adopted or had all the opportunities I have today if my birth mother didn't give me up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I can't imagine what my life would have been like in China. I wouldn't have had access to all the amazing things I have here, and I wouldn't have met the amazing people that I've met and had the family that I have today. But I
Yeah.
don't know any better.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
one of the messages that I always share is adoption is loss, adoption is trauma, no matter how you look at it.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to take a child away from their family, even in the best circumstances. And I had amazing opportunities, and the resources that were given to me and my family, I realize not everybody has them,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but just the lengths that my parents went through to try and understand me, to try and work through my trauma, my ADHD, and the anxiety that I face even today as an adult. But it wasn't always easy. It took years and years and years to come to where I am today. And that's one of the things that I like to remind people, whether you're an adoptee or an adoptive parent or even a birth family or birth mother, is adoption is a journey. You don't come
Mhm.
to answers. You don't get answers overnight. It can take years, but I always encourage people not to give up, to find those resources for you and your family. And that's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's true. And it is a journey. It's a never ending, yeah, journey of whatever you need to work through. Being an adopted parent for each of my children, she was on a 504 too. So
Yeah.
I know what that is, what you're talking about with school. Um, and then I have kids that had, something even more than just the 504. So the next step up. But as an adopted parent, we would fight and try to do whatever it took so that we could help. We want to help our children through this situation and, whatever we can do to help um, you guys be successful. I mean, like
Hmm.
any parent would. So, do you have any knowledge or contact with your birth family at all?
No, I do not. And I think that's the hardest part that I still struggle with is that's a huge unanswered question in my life. And it
Mhm.
probably always will be, given that there's no
Just a,
record of my birth family because I was abandoned at birth. And
yeah.
because China's adoption system is so much different than the US,
Mm.
you don't have the option to have a closed or open adoption in China. When I was born, it was a one-child policy. We're going back to 2002.
Okay.
So, girls were often seen as unwanted and abandoned, as boys were seen as the strong ones. And because it was illegal to abandon these babies, people would just abandon these, young, healthy baby girls because
Mm.
they couldn't afford them, because they were going to get prosecuted if the government found out they had more than one child.
Yeah.
So, because of that shame and the fear of still being persecuted, even today,
Yeah.
unless they want to step forward and try and find me, odds are we'll never find them. Not to
Yeah.
mention that the DNA test that we use here, like 23andMe, it's not
Hmm.
available in China.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
there are different avenues I can go to, but I have so many unanswered questions that will
Yeah.
probably remain unanswered.
Unanswered. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really hard.
I think that that's one of the things with the international adoption too, is that, I mean, I'm sure that a lot come. I mean, I have two sisters that were adopted from Korea, um, and going back and trying to find information, it was like impossible to do so. And then the other one, they found out that they lied on the documentation, that the person that placed her birth mom abandoned her, and this person was just caring for her but signed it like she was the mom. And so the child died at the orphanage because that's where it was done. So she couldn't find any information either on
Hmm.
it. But um, is it's still that way in China with the closed adoption and just one child or
Yeah,
full
so
family?
it's no longer a one-child policy. In 2015, the government now allowed two children and then three children, but unfortunately, during 2020, the government halted all adoptions. And they
Yeah,
said, because of COVID and the current pandemic, we're going to suspend adoptions. We may or may not bring them back.
yeah,
And then about a year ago, they said, we're not bringing them back
yeah,
at all. And that's heartbreaking
yeah,
because
Wow.
anybody who was in the process of adopting, or anybody international who had gone through the steps of adoption, and a lot of them had even met their future children, the
mhm,
government just ripped that away. And there's so many unanswered questions for foreigners who were in the process of adopting, and there were a lot of lawsuits and a lot of legal battles that they've had to go through. But the government basically said, and it's said, had this firm stance that unless you can prove you're biologically related to these children, you're not
mhm.
allowed to take them out of the country.
Oh, wow.
And that's
Wow.
So they're
heartbreaking.
they're just allowing them to stay in orphanages? Is that?
Yes. And it's heartbreaking because Chinese orphanages are very much still like a third world country. It's not
Yeah,
like anything like the US. It's literally like you turn 18 and you get kicked to the street. And it's no
yeah,
longer healthy baby girls. And it hasn't been for years. It's
yeah.
now children who are disabled and children who are abandoned later in life because they're seen as too expensive, because maybe they have medical conditions or physical or mental disabilities that they don't realize until later on.
Wow. That's
That's
horrific.
so heartbreaking.
Yeah, that they won't. I don't understand that. I mean, because there's tons of people that want to adopt, so across the different
Yeah,
nations.
from an outsider's perspective, that just sounds just unreal because there's so many kids, so many families that are willing, more than willing to take those babies.
Yeah,
That's just
You're
hard to just
absolutely
even wrap
correct. And
my
it's
brain around.
heartbreaking. It
yeah,
breaks my heart to think about that. That's what
yeah,
the current climate is today in China for in the adoption industry.
yeah. I mean, that's horrible. Have you ever thought about going? Have you visited China? Have you gone back since?
No, I have not, but I would love to one day. And eventually I know I will end up getting the chance to go back, but it's just never been the right time. And then COVID hit, and then all the
Yeah,
travel restrictions slowly eased, and then it wasn't the right
mhm,
time again. So eventually I want to go back, but
yeah,
it just hasn't been the right opportunity or time.
yeah. Well, you're still young, so you still got time to do that.
Yeah, you're
Sounds
absolutely right.
amazing.
And I would
So,
love to eventually be able to find my birth family, but I know that the reality for me and other people who are adopted from China is that I probably will never find them. I don't even know if they're even alive anymore. If they
yeah,
don't want to be found, or if they're alive and they don't step forward as well, then I'll
Yeah.
never find them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in your circumstance, it would be almost impossible. I mean,
Yeah.
because of how you were found and how you were abandoned. I mean, I don't even know how you would even start that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
so there are different agencies and finders that I can go through,
oh, really?
which would, and so the first step usually would be involving hiring a searcher in China, somebody who speaks English and Chinese in that
Hmm.
province.
Yeah.
And they would kind of post signs and pictures and see if anybody were to reach out and then, dig further into the records and go to the uh, orphanage and et cetera, et cetera. But if, like I said, if my birth family isn't willing to be contacted or found, and that's unfortunately the reality for most Chinese adoptees, is that their
Yeah.
birth families are too afraid to be shamed or prosecuted by the government. But the reality is they can't be charged anymore, but they don't know that. They're just too
Yeah.
Hmm.
afraid. So
Well,
unless,
that's why I
yeah,
was going to ask you, could they still be charged?
no, they
And would they
can't. So
still be
that's
like,
long.
would they still be shamed badly?
They could absolutely still be shamed because
Okay.
a lot of these are small remote villages.
Okay.
Mm,
And so that would too, if they even knew your birth mom was pregnant. That's always a scenario. Then if she
well,
wasn't
she
married, I
even
don't
told
know.
anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
so many other different.
Things that
You're
they could.
absolutely correct. Yeah, there's just so many different scenarios that it could be.
Yeah.
I could have been the product of a rape. It could have been a single mom that ran away. It could have been so many things. And that's
Yeah.
answers that I've always tried to grasp with, but I've come to terms that I know that I'll never get. And that's so
Yeah.
hard.
It sounds like you've kind of come to terms with it. Like you just realize that that's like the reality of the situation.
Yeah, no, I've come to terms with that for years and years and years because I have no other choice. And I think I would
Yeah.
drive myself crazy and go mental if I just focused on that, and I can't.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
you can't. Yeah. I mean, in their case, she has a full biological sister that we adopted too. So theirs was a closed adoption, but they have each other, so they kind of know what another sibling would look like.
Yeah, that has been kind of beneficial.
I mean,
Yeah.
in that
Yeah, I
circumstance.
would
So
love to see a little me, right? But I
yeah,
think that
Yeah.
that'll eventually happen if I have kids
yeah,
one day because I really want to
yeah,
have kids.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, I look forward to them having kids, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got,
they have some similarities, but they look different. I mean,
yeah.
her sister's taller and she's pint sized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think that the hard thing for me and just international adoptions from third world countries and developing countries is that there's absolutely no record. The record could have
Yeah,
been like there is record and it's 100% authentic. It's
yeah,
been translated, it's been verified. But because there's a language barrier and because it wasn't just as simple as an open or closed adoption, because
yeah.
even in the US with the closed adoption, there's still record.
There is,
There is
there is.
still record that you can unseal. It might not be easy to get, but you can
Mhm.
still have record. And so that's a really hard thing for me to try and kind of grasp with, but it's just something that I've had to come to terms with over the years.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, and I guess too, we can unseal your thing. You're old enough, you could do that now
Yeah, I could.
if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's something I do think about. But like for me, that I've just kind of like come to terms with that with like I'm okay with not knowing too, kind of like you. Like I don't really, for me, I don't really have like a desire to, since I do have my sister, and so that does help a lot.
Yeah, no, and I understand that uh,
It's
it's
different for
not that I,
everybody.
yeah, no, absolutely, and everybody's gonna feel different. I definitely have a desire to, but excuse me, I definitely have a desire to try and find my birth family, but I realistic part of me is that that'll never happen,
Yeah,
and
your situation just totally just
yeah, and
completely
like I don't
different.
want to go down that rabbit hole and and spend tens of thousands of dollars only to
Yeah, that's
realize that I'd be
exactly.
disappointed, and I
Yeah,
know that's exactly what usually happens.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, it would be expensive to hire someone overseas to do that for you. I can't even
Like
imagine.
how long it would take and to just have it lead to nowhere. That would be absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yes, somebody just walked in. I hope this is edited.
Oh no, you're fine. The thing is we can't see anything behind. It's
Okay.
blurred.
Well, somebody just, I don't know if this will be edited or not. I hope
We
so.
can cut it out.
If you want us
Okay.
to. Sometimes we
Yes.
don't, because I like to have it just, you know. like it
Yeah,
was a
like a
way.
conversation, but
Yeah,
absolutely, I do like edits because somebody
yeah.
just walked in and then gave them a face because I had a feeling that
They're
might
like,
happen. But
excuse me.
edits are amazing things.
Yeah, yeah, we can
They
cut
are.
it
I can
out.
edit. I can edit it out. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'll just look
Yeah, I
for
had
it.
a feeling that might happen, even though I texted them and called them, but I
Yeah,
didn't.
you're like you told them I'm going to be busy, so
Yeah,
stay out of here.
I almost thought about locking the door, but I feel like they would just try to come
They'd be
in.
knocking
So
on the door. Let
yeah,
me in.
probably,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah, that's the hard part is
Yeah.
about, yeah.
Do you live with family or
Yes,
roommates?
I still live with my parents because
Yeah.
it's insanely expensive to live on your own.
Yeah,
So
me
I don't mind
too.
that.
She still
Yeah.
lives with me too.
See,
It's
that
So
rough
makes me
out
feel
there
better,
right
right? It's
now.
just the new normal from COVID after
Yeah.
the housing market crash and everything. It's just
it's
nobody
so
wants to, the amount of people that I know that have either moved out and moved back in or just never left is
yeah,
astronomical.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it's like you don't make enough money to cover all the expenses. I mean,
100%.
pay for, to pay for the rent and then the food and then the car. I'm like, I don't see how you could do it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
the
I
prices
understand. Agree.
where we're at, I mean, our house payment is less than rent.
Yeah.
So,
You're in Utah, right?
yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I went sure. I was like, I've never been to the West Coast, but that seems fun.
Yeah. It's cold. We're cold here.
Oh,
Where are you
really?
located
I'm
again?
in Pennsylvania, so it's cold
Pennsylvania.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So,
get
yeah.
cold too, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely
Been
snow.
getting
Although
weather.
Mhm.
the polar vortex happening right now is not supposed to hit PA, so that's good.
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
that, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to hit here. Usually we're pretty far over, but
Who knows? Utah's
it's
weird.
cold enough. Yeah. I always say we have bipolar weather. It can
Yeah,
never make up its
yeah,
mind.
that's PA.
Is it? I
Hmm.
mean, we'll get like really freezing, and then the next day it's 30 degrees warmer. We get snow in June. It's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So, so what advice do you give adoptees that maybe are interested in finding or looking, or that you feel like it's beneficial for other adoptees to know that you've learned yourself? Do you give them
That
advice or?
Yeah, so that you have to surround yourself with people that are also adopted, that have other similar stories than that you have, but that every story is unique and every person is going to handle these emotions and this journey differently. There's not one size fits all. And I think that I always have to remember that. And then I always have to remind people that it'll get better. If you're struggling right now and that goes for adopted parents and it goes for adoptees, it will get better. I promise. I'm living proof that your past doesn't define you. And for me, my past made me stronger. I would not have had half the opportunities I have in life if I was never adopted, if my birth mother never made that brave choice. And I don't resent that. And that's something that, like I said earlier, I've come to terms with, and it's taken years to come to terms with, and years of therapy, and years of working with my family and therapists and medications. But I'm forever grateful to be adopted. And yeah,
Do you have other adopted siblings?
I do not.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So do you have other siblings?
Yes, I have two older brothers, Alex and McLean, but they are biological to my parents.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And has it, well, you're the only girl, so that's a
Yeah.
benefit by itself because,
Yeah,
and
I
you're
was
the,
definitely spoiled growing up for sure.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're the only girl and you're the youngest, so you get double spoiled. So, I mean, in our family, I've adopted four. I couldn't have any biological children, so they all have each other to kind of just, lean on, and as far as that's
Yeah.
concerned. So,
And so like being the only like adopted sibling, like did you I'm sure you've like felt different. Like how did your family, what was that dynamic like? How did your
Yeah,
family and your siblings?
so I live in a area that's predominantly white and African American. So I was always the minority in my town. I'm still the minority. So in my classes, I was often the only one, and I knew I was the only one that
Hmm.
was adopted or and Asian. But my parents, because I grew up in a white family, I'd often forget that. And my
Mhm.
favorite joke is from Crazy Rich Asians is that I'm like a banana. I'm yellow on the outside, but white on the inside.
Yep.
And that makes me laugh because
Yeah.
that's so true. That's something I relate to so much. But to the world, I'm different. To the world, I don't look like
Yeah.
my family, so it's very obvious. And I'm not sure if you can relate as well,
Yeah.
but I don't know any better, so I can't focus on that.
Yeah, that's just kind of just our normal. That's just, it is what it is. You just gotta go with it. It was the
Yeah.
same
Exactly.
way. Grew up like one of the only like African American kids in the whole school, not very many adopted, so very similar to that. Yeah.
And she's the Oreo
Yeah, that's
instead.
what we say. Oreo brown on the outside, white on the inside.
Exactly. See, I'm not the only one with the
Yeah, so
joke
you get
issue,
it. You
so
get it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's my two sisters that are from Korea. That's what they always say too. Yeah, they're the banana. So
Hmm.
because my parents are Caucasian, and her and her siblings, both of my husband and I, are both white. So they get
Yeah.
it. She understands
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Predominantly white here in
Yeah.
Utah. So
Exactly. But like I said, I can't focus on that, although I forget that I wish people would just ask questions. That this is just me because you get stares and you get looks and then you get like, oh, look, that family's like me too, and it always makes me smile.
yeah,
But I
Yeah.
wish people would just ask questions, and I think that's the hard part is people are too nice and so they just stare at
Yeah.
just
Because
one
they don't
side of
want
the
to say anything. They don't want to like
exactly. And I
offend.
my personal opinion is I just wish somebody would ask a question instead of staring and
yeah,
judging.
yeah. And judging. Well,
Hmm.
see, and that's the thing is, that's we had when my girls were younger. I mean, we would always get looks, and people would just assume I was with someone else before I got with my husband, um, and had the girls. But the girls are just 10 and a half months apart. But we would go places, and you would hear people behind our back just saying all this stuff. And I'm just like, I got to a point where I had stopped being quiet. And then I just would say, if you have a question, please come ask me. You don't have to like sit behind my back and talk, to a point to where I can hear you anyway.
Yeah. It's
So,
just a weird thing to
yeah,
do in
yeah.
general.
And some of the stuff was not very nice. Um, but yeah, I would rather him come and talk to me than sit and say awful things behind my back. But
No, I'm glad to know I'm not the only one who thinks that because my parents think the same thing, but I see it
yeah,
and I wish people would just ask. And I
mm,
get society's too afraid to ask questions. As an
yeah,
American society, we've just been taught that to be polite and not say anything and not ask questions. But that's like
yeah,
difficult because for people who aren't like that, it doesn't feel good to be different, right? And sharing and judging doesn't make anybody feel better, especially when you're
no,
talking about a little kid.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, we would have people come up to us, but they weren't nice people. So we just had the bad people that had mean comments come up to us and talk. I didn't, I always told one thing that's different is I always tell people, because I used to answer the phone for the adoption agency, and I'm like, if you don't like to fit, because once you adopt African American children, you're now a blended family, like you're a blended family. So you can't go anywhere and blend into the back of a room. You automatically stand out as soon as you come in, right? And the same is with your family. And I'm like, so if you like to be, not bothered by looks and stares and people talking to you, um, then don't adopt another race. And if you're okay with it, I always say you're kind of like community property. Everybody felt like they could come up and honestly ask us anything, and they would touch the girl's hair or
Hmm.
because they never saw a black person before.
Hmm.
We had that a lot here. So, but you don't you definitely stand out, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Um, you don't just blend anywhere. So, and I was okay with it. I got to the point where I didn't care what people were. Those are the people I don't want to be friends with anyway.
Hmm.
If
Yeah,
they're,
no, you're
like
absolutely
me.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only give my perspective. I
Yeah.
know that my parents often said that they would get comments like, "Oh, she's so lucky to have you."
Oh yeah, I hate
And my
that.
parents would always say, "She's lucky. What about us? We're lucky too."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they would say, um, oh, you're doing such a great thing. You're bettering their life and all this stuff. And I'm like, my biggest thing I always tell people is that I adopted for selfish reasons because I wanted to be a mother. I was in no way thinking, oh, I'm going to adopt this baby and give them this great, wonderful life. That's
Like
not
it's
why I
like
did
a
it.
people view like adoption a lot like as like a charity thing.
Yeah, and it's
You're
not.
Yeah.
saving these kids from
But it
whatever
goes
Yeah.
both
happening.
ways. It does. It truly
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. And maybe some people feel like that, but I definitely didn't. I just wanted a baby. And I mean, like on Wicked, the baby came out green. I was saying, I would take that baby. I don't
Yeah.
I would have taken a
Yeah.
purple baby. I don't care. It didn't at the point it didn't matter to me. I thought the green baby was cute though.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
cute.
I just saw the second one. That was a good movie.
Oh, see, we're waiting until the first. We gotta wait till the first. But
Yeah,
I know when that
definitely
baby
wait. It was so crowded.
was it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
It's not made
Oh my
like
goodness.
$30
Opening weekend.
million
Yeah.
dollars just on Thursday,
Yeah,
so it's
crazy.
Uh-huh. Yep.
huge.
Okay, so we're good waiting.
Hmm.
I know when I was looking for tickets, they were still a lot of the theaters were sold out still up until then. I'm like, oh my goodness. But oh well, we'll wait. But
Hmm.
yeah, when you're adopting, a lot of times if you can't have any biologically, you get to a point where it's like you don't. It doesn't matter. My whole thing is I just wanted to be a mother. I wanted a baby. I didn't care,
Hmm.
anything else. That's all that was important to me. But sometimes you do have to stop and think, logically, how will this work? Um, and the poor kid you guys get thrown into it because they are another race in Utah, which is predominantly white. And I was conscious about that when I adopted because I adopted all four of mine are black, and I wanted them to have that unity within the family. I wanted to make them the majority of our household because outside of the house, they're the minorities.
Yeah.
So,
And that makes a lot of sense. I
yeah,
know for my parents, they adopted because they really wanted a girl.
yeah,
And
Hmm.
they knew at the time that China was kind of abundant with healthy baby girls, and it
yeah,
was. You were almost guaranteed a girl, and it was a very easy process for them. It just in just under a year and a half, they were bringing me home after they had started the process, and that's unheard of. That's
yeah,
unheard of
Hmm.
today.
yeah,
But I think what people don't realize and what they come to learn later on is that it's a struggle. It's not just sunshine and rainbows, and were the adoption agency wasn't there for them after. It's
yeah,
kind of just like adopt a kid, you'll save a life, it's amazing, but
yeah,
you're basically thrown to the curb after
yeah,
you adopt somebody. It's just like,
yeah.
oh, now you're on your own, figure out all the struggles and trauma that it comes with.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
don't think that's okay. And that's one of the reasons why I share my stories to kind of raise awareness about finding resources.
Yes, and I think that I don't know. I've worked with the agency for over 30 years now. So, and for an agency, we do offer counseling and stuff um, for the children can even come back later and we can help if they need counseling and stuff. So that's one thing that we do try to help with. But I think that you're right. I think in most of the areas, it does fall on the parents to find people in your area, community, to kind of help you go through the things that you're going through. Now, I think there's a lot more resources for that than there used to be.
You're
So,
absolutely right. There aren't half as many excuse me, the resources that are available today were not available when I
yeah,
was growing up. And that's
yeah,
one of
Hmm.
the reasons, like I said earlier, that I want to share my stories. There are so many more resources today
yes,
in the age of social media, in the age of modern technology to be able to connect with people
yeah,
that didn't exist 15 years ago.
yeah. No,
Mm-mm.
and that's the thing is that with my her sister is autistic, and trying to get her help when she was in school, autism wasn't a thing. And so when we were working through all of that, I would have to go back every year to fight for her services because autism didn't come around until she was like almost graduated from high school. So it was very hard and difficult. And I know now there's so many more resources and avenues you can take and more support systems out there than there used to be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when I was in school and struggling with ADHD and anxiety, my school was struggling to find solutions for me. Originally, they took a very traditional discipline approach where I was just seen as the bad kid
Yes.
and I
Mm-hmm.
was physically punished, put in a corner, put in a timeout, sent to the principal's office. And that's not right. We didn't know that 15 years ago, but
Yeah.
today we know that that's not the right approach to anybody who's gone through trauma or anybody with behavioral or mental
Yeah.
disabilities or differences. But we didn't know that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But through education, through research, we've learned a lot more and we've gotten better as a society to deal with people that are
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's true. That's true. So, I know that you said about 45 minutes, so we're getting close to that. Is there anything you would like to tell anyone out there
Just
that you
the
haven't?
general message that you want to go out to anyone in the adoption community.
If you're struggling to adopt or you're getting turned down, don't give up. It's a journey. It takes time, but eventually you will find the right child for you. If you're an adoptee who's struggling with identity, know that you're not alone. There are resources and other people like you. You just have to find them. If you would like to reach out to me, I'm more than welcome. Messages and emails. My website is aydenlincoln.org, or you can reach me at Ayden Lincoln on most social media platforms.
Okay.
Awesome.
And
We'll
we
put
can
that
put
in the
that, yeah,
description. Yeah.
we'll put that on there so that people can see it when we post your podcast.
Thank
And
you
we
so much.
appreciate you for coming on
Yeah,
and
thank you
sharing your
so much.
story.
Yeah, and you're doing such amazing things.
Yeah.
We need a lot more adopt or advocates for adoptees like you out there. So, doing good
Yeah.
work, sharing your story, and just your positivity is just amazing. So, we
Yeah.
love to see it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. And she'll just close us out. And then I hope you have a good Thanksgiving.
You too. Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's a nice finish to National Adoption Month.
Yes,
Yes. Thank you.
perfect.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
was the last one. I had some other ones. Like I said earlier, I try and
Yeah.
just kind of cram it all in,
All
but
on once.
yeah, I know, right? But
I
because
know.
that's what works
We
for
have one.
mainstream media.
Yeah. We have one more tomorrow. So
And we're just cramming it into.
Yeah.
cram them into. Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much again,
Thank you.
Aiden. And anybody out there who wants to learn more about adoption, you can visit our website at www.activeloveadoptions.com.
Thanks, Aiden. We appreciate it.
Thank you.